Everyone in New York, all of the big billionaires, all of the folks who made so much money, who supported Rudy Giuliani in 2008 when he ran for office, when he basically saved this city, when he was the toast of Broadway. The people who respected him and loved him and wanted to kiss his arse now have gotten together and said, we cannot represent him or support him in view of his association with Trump. And what Rudy is doing is he's a lawyer. He's representing Trump. The last time I checked, Trump had the right to be defended. But the biggest names of everyone in New York, all of the billionaires have basically said to him, that's it, we're done. You were okay then, but we won't give you a dime. And they're going to grind Rudy into dust. Don't let the bravura and the brio and that tough guy persona fool you. This is not the way an 80-year-old man ever thought he would be enjoying the trajectory of his life. Let me ask you right now to do me a favor and please stand by. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel. Please hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. And my friends, many of my Florida folks dodged a bullet. Many didn't. And it has now become, I think, incumbent upon people to get to the facility, so to speak, and to ensure that you are covered with emergency food by going to preparewithlionel.com. I've got the link for you right here, preparewithlionel.com. Go to My Patriot Supply, because whatever it is, whether it's weather, whether it's unrest, whether it's strikes, whether it's supply chain breakdowns, whether famine, who knows right now, look at any amount of time on the internet, and what you're seeing is story after story of weather depictions and descriptions and observations that defy anything anybody's ever seen. And what with war and famine and just name it, all of those things we talked about, war, pestilence, poverty. What next? Locusts? Is that it? Go to preparewithlionel.com, 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 and save $200 off of a 3-month emergency food kit. See for yourself what we're talking about with a 25-year shelf life. This is like nothing you can do, nothing you can replicate, nothing in stores. This is simply the best. Preparewithlionel.com. Do it right now because you one day are going to need emergency food guaranteed. Now, my friends, I want you to understand what it's like to have lived in New York with Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani came into a town when people were scared, and boy, we need him now. Now, Rudy is sometimes boorish, brash, braggadocious. I know a lot of mob folks couldn't stand him. They thought he was a hot dogger. But Rudy Giuliani did a couple of things that we need so desperately. Let me tell you what he did. First, he utilized the best law enforcement folks you can imagine, from Bill Bratton to Jack Maple to John Timoney to Lou Anemone, to all of these geniuses who used Comstat and computer statistics, where they went to precinct heads and they said, what are you doing to reduce the crime in your area, in your precinct? What are you doing specifically? What are you doing? And if they couldn't answer, if they didn't respond correctly, they were out. He made the police responsible. Next, he instituted the broken windows policy. This was something that Wilson and others had devised. And basically what it is the theory is that when you have a building on a street corner in a neighborhood, a building where there is, let's say, a broken window or something that is demonstrably not taken care of, not noticed, not cared for, it sends a message to people, and it sends the message to folks that they are not, that the individual, the city, the fathers, so to speak, do not care about the course of the city. They don't care. So do whatever you want. Do what you want. All of these crimes that used to be ignored before Rudy, jumping the turnstile in subways, urinating in doorways, smoking pot, drinking, all of that was stopped. And the word was out immediately. You're not going to do this on this man's watch. And what he also did was the most important thing. He realized what people needed to see. And what was driving people the most crazy was something called squeegee men. Squeegee men were these people that would come, you'd be pulling out of the Lincoln Tunnel, and there they were with their buckets and their squeegees, and they would come up to a car, and basically these degenerates, these zombies, whacked out of their minds, and they would threaten to bend, light windshield wipers, or smear grime. So you would just pay them just to go away, and that's precisely what it was. Think of it as automotive extortion. Rudy, so help me God, and one day, boom, they were gone. And then Rudy decided he was going to use his expertise in law enforcement. He formed Giuliani Partners. He was in demand. He was it. I mean, he was it. He was famous. And then after 9/11, on September the 10th, they hated Rudy Giuliani. When I say hate, I mean the only people who liked them were, I think, gay folks. It's a long story, but he was couch surfing with a gay couple when he and the missus were on the outs, and it's a long story. Teachers couldn't stand him. Cops couldn't stand him. Nobody could stand him. They hated his guts. And then September the 11th, and he was godlike. He just showed people what true leadership was. He was incredible. What he did. There was one instance, and I'll never forget. He promised somebody, I don't know the context of it, but he promised somebody that he would walk them down the aisle. And Rudy had this command vehicle, and he had his jackets on. He would always be at Rudy was so hands-on. If there was a water main break, he would show up and have his sanitation jacket on. If it was a crime scene, he showed up with his NYPD. He ran the city. And he promised this woman, I believe, that he would walk her down the aisle. So Rudy shows up. He has a tuxedo. He puts it on, honors his pledge, walks her down the aisle, gets back in, and he was magnificent. I will never forget that. Pure, raw leadership. And what do these sick bastards do in this state, in this city? What do they do? Because they're gutless billionaires who could tell anybody, I'm a billionaire. I'm almost 80 years old. I can do whatever I want. I'm going to honor him. I'm going to honor Rudy Giuliani. What he did for me, we were friends. What he did for no, he can't. Because you see, you have to show fealty by hating all things Trump. Do you hear what I'm saying? You have to hate all things Trump, and you have to be out of your mind with this enmity and this focus, preoccupation with Trump. That's what you have to do. And to prove it, you have to go in the newspapers and say, well, I'm not going to give Rudy a dime because he went crazy with his January 6th. And oh my God. John Adams represented the British in the Boston Massacre. I mean, what are you doing? The Tea Party, our massacre. What am I saying? This is where we are today. This is where we are. The systematic and total and deliberate abandonment of Rudy Giuliani. It is sickening. It is sickening. The lack of guts, the lack of honor, the lack of faith, the lack of fealty and respect. And now they're calling Rudy's a drunk, and he's this, and he's crazy, and he went to the... I mean, it goes to show you. Trust no one. Don't ever worry. Don't ever think that your good deeds are going to go noticed or unnoticed. Don't think that, because you will only be respected. You will only be liked. You will only be honored so long as it is politically expedient by a bunch of feckless, ballless, atesticular, impuissant, invertebrate slimes. That's where we are. So Mayor Giuliani, Rudy Giuliani, on behalf of a New Yorker who was here, Mrs. L and I, we thank you for your service. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for what you did to clean the city up, and your courage and your leadership during September the 11th. Thank you for that. Thank you immensely for that. And thank you for believing in this idea that you as a lawyer can represent anybody in a court of law, interesting pun there, court of law, to pursue a claim that you believe has a good faith basis behind it. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for that. So please like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell. And also, friends, right now, preparewithlionel.com. Save $200 off a 3-month emergency food kit. This is the best. This is the Bentley, the Lamborghini, the Bugatti. This is the best you can have. Start with this and start building. Prepare. Because nobody's laughing at the notion of the prepper anymore. All right, dear friends, have a great and a glorious day. Thank you so much. I love to see what you have to think. So comment as you see fit. Let me try this again.